I wouldn't have been able to break the chain, or the padlock. The door was locked. Looking through the window, I could see that there was nothing in the van. Hobbs must have taken the portfolio inside. I'd need the keys to start the engine. I had no reason nor any desire to steal Hobbs's van. Not a sound. The horn wasn't working. Slasha! I decided to leave the handbrake alone. I popped open the van's hood. Piles of junk, mostly boxes of old paints and scraps of picture frames. Mixed in were wires, cardboard, and some dubious-looking old clothes. George Stobart.
Ah, Monsieur Stobart. I trust you have obeyed my instructions not to leave Paris.
Of course, Inspector.
Good. You clearly know which side your cookie is buttered. Now, I require your presence tomorrow at the murder scene for a reconstruction.
I see.
12 o'clock sharp, monsieur. Or, as you would say, high noon.
Sure.
Any failure to comply, and I shall have you extraordinarily rendered. Have a nice day now.
And you. That was Nave. We're required back at the gallery tomorrow for a crime scene reconstruction.
Let me guess. Non-attendance is a criminal offense?
You got it. The large dumpster was full of garbage. Climbing drain pipes was something I preferred to avoid, unless I had a great reason to do so. There was a light on up above, and I could hear music playing. Someone had to be home. It was Hobbs's mailbox. There was a note hanging out. For a second, I debated the morality of mail snooping. It was a short debate, and I won. I decided to open the letter. Dear Mr. Hobbs, due to previous incidents, we are writing to inform you that we will no longer be sending models to your address. It went on to discuss Hobbs's temper and other alleged infractions, some of which still carry the death sentence in certain less sophisticated cultures. Interesting. I don't think Hobbs can hear us. I'd pounded that door until my hand hurt. We were going to have to find another way to attract Hobbs's attention. The engine was held together by rust and dirt. Everything was covered in a sticky film of dirty black oil. Half the wiring wasn't connected to anything. It was clear why the horn hadn't made a noise. Neither hornpipe was connected to either the battery or the cab. It was the van's engine. I didn't really have any reason to sabotage it. A bundle of wires came into the engine bay from the dashboard. Many of the wires seemed to lead nowhere. It was one of two horns in the van. It didn't seem to be connected to anything else under the hood. Two wires hung loose from it. A bundle of short, severed wires was connected to the battery. None of the wires were connected to anything. It was one of two horns in the van. It didn't seem to be connected to anything else under the hood. Two wires hung loose from it. The horn wasn't working. The van's hood was already... I had found just what I needed. Two lengths of wire. The engine bay was a mess. I connected the wires from the cab to the horn. A loose wire. If I had some spare cable, I could connect it to the other horn. The horn wasn't working. I used the wire to join the battery to the horn. The horn wasn't working. That was never going to work. The wire just reached across. It'd be crazy to cut it now. I hoped this wouldn't cut short my plan. I connected the wires from the cab to the horn. The wire was just long enough to connect the battery to the horn. Everything was wired up. The horn had power. I figured that should get Hobbs' attention.
All right, hold your bloomin' horses. What are you up to with my van?
Hello there. We fixed your horn.
So I hear. Now what are you doing in my yard?
Sorry to bother you again, Mr. Hobbs, but... Well, that could have gone better.
He's not exactly the friendliest of characters.
I decided to give it another blast.
For crying out loud, will you leave my van alone?
Sorry, just need a quick word, Mr. Hobbs. Mr. Hobbs, do you mind if we ask you a few questions?
Yes.
Yes, you will answer a few questions?
Yes, I do mind. Clear?
Not really.
Good. Now get lost.
This Hobbs guy doesn't exactly like visitors.
There must be some angle we can use to talk our way inside.
I decided to give it another blast.
You two again? What is it this time?
Afternoon, Mr. Hobbs. We're from the model agency.
About blooming time. I'm on a deadline. You better come up. About time you two showed up.
Hello, Mr. Hobbs. I was just wondering if...
Can it, Goldilocks? I don't have time for chit-chat. Just get undressed behind that screen.
Undressed?
That was the deal. An extra 20 quid because I need you with your kit off.
The studio was freezing.
And as for you, darling, no need to get undressed. I've got a vivid imagination, so I'll just use that. Either way, just go sit over there on that rug and give me your best belly-pock floozy. That's perfect. Just hold it there.
Nico made for a good distraction. I just needed to figure out how to get a look inside that portfolio.
Hey, I'm still drinking that.
I wasn't going to mess around with that wiring.
Hey! Leave that dial alone. The heating gobbles up all the power and the circuits can't take it.
Sorry. I turned the thermostat down again.
Oh, you! Get down from there, it's private.
Oh, sorry. Wow, an old Bofson Wang stereo. I hadn't seen one of those for years. The record had stopped. It was Jasmine Breeze by the Hairy Lobsters. Hobbs seemed to have a thing for 70s psychedelic jams. Burroughs, Dick, Rand. Hobbs liked his literature heavy and paranoid. The stereo was switched off. Adjusting the volume wasn't going to make any difference. I turned the volume up a few notches. It was locked. I wondered what was behind the door.
Hey, stop meddling with that. The power's ropey enough as it is.
Blowing the power would certainly have distracted Hobbs, but the elevator alone wasn't going to trip the whole system. I didn't want to play around with the negligee. Those days are long gone. But I wondered who it did belong to. Hey, Nico, got any ideas?
We need to take a look inside that folder.
Oi, you two. Less of the gabbing. I've got work to do.
I didn't want to play around with the negligee. Those days are long gone. But I wondered who it did belong to.
My, if it isn't George Stobart.
Lady Piermont. Oh, my. You're...
Naked? Of course. As an artist's muse, one often finds oneself en pelotas. Now, George, don't be shy. Come here and give me a big hug.
That day was the day the nightmares would begin. Trapped, smothered, choking on lavender.
George, darling, pass me my robe. It's terribly cold in here.
Oi, what are you doing with a blooming robe on? God help me, but you're supposed to be naked. I've got a deadline to meet.
Well, you won't be meeting any deadlines with manners like that. And besides, it's freezing in here.
Lady Piermont and I had met before. She was larger than life, in every way. Lady Piermont.
Oh, George, be a darling and sort the heating out in here.
I'll see what I can do.
Hey! I've told you, don't mess with that thermostat.
Sorry, but Lady Piermont is cold. I thought...
Look, pal, I know it's brass monkeys in here, but the wiring in this building is ancient, and the fuse box won't take it. Her Majesty will just have to get used to chapel hat pegs.
Lady Piermont, Mr. Hobbs won't let me turn up the heater.
Well, we'll soon see about that.
Oh, crumbs.
If you do not adjust the heating, I shall refuse to cooperate.
Lady Piermont, it's the circuits. They won't take the strain. You know what old buildings are like.
In which case, I see no reason for this session to continue.
Whoa, Lady Piermont, let's not be too hasty. I'm sure I can accommodate your needs.
Good. Perhaps you can start by letting George here turn up the heating.
Oh, go ahead then, but be careful. The power in here is temperamental.
I'd turned the thermostat up as far as it would go. I wondered if the suspicious wiring could be used to my advantage. Excuse me, Mr. Hobbs.
Oh, what do you want? You're supposed to be sprawled naked on that rug with the family jewels out.
Yeah, well, about that. Could I just ask you a couple of questions first?
Blimey. A model who's shy and chatty. It must be my birthday.
I hear you did the restoration of that painting that got stolen recently in Paris?
Might have. It's a fine piece. You can smell the pain in every brushstroke.
How long have you been using Lady Piermont as a model?
Using her? I can't get rid of her.
Yeah, about this naked, sprawling...
Oh, what's up? Afraid of the shrinking effects of a cold warehouse?
No, it's just...
First time? Little embarrassed? Well, if it helps, we can all get naked.
No, definitely not.
Well then, what are you waiting for? Let the monkey see the nuts.
We had a saying in the Stobart family. If a job's worth doing, then do it with your pants on. But I thought you were a restorer, but you're working on this painting from scratch.
Well, yeah. Look, some clients want a painting that they don't own, restored from scratch, if you know what I mean.
No, I don't.
Don't worry, sunshine. Ignorance is bliss.
How about a top-up, Mr. Hobbs?
Not bad if I do.
A word, if I may, Lady Piermont.
For you, George, I'm all ears. How can I help?
How did you come to be working with Mr. Hobbs?
Wheresoever a bohemian needs a helping hand, George, mine is always at the ready. And what better way to help than to expose one's flesh to the sensuous brushstrokes of such a talent?
Do you know anything about a stolen painting called La Maledicción?
Oh, is this another of your adventures, George? How delicious. My heart's a tremor, George. Do you think Wilf is mixed up with this?
Maybe, but I need you to act normally until we're sure.
Mum's the word, Georgie.
Can you keep a secret?
I am the very soul of discretion, as you know.
You see that portfolio by Hobbs's table? We need to take a peek inside.
Be still, my beating heart. Just give me the nod and I'm putty in your hands.
Would you like a sniff of this?
I'd rather not. Gives me 70s flashbacks.
So what have you been up to since our last encounter, Lady Piermont?
Charity work, dear boy.
Oh, any particular kind?
Young men, George. So many have lost their way. I try to guide them best I can.
Lady Piermont, we need your help.
How thrilling! What do you need? Subterfuge? Leisure domain?
Actually, I just need you to step onto that lift behind you.
Oh, but of course. Is this good, George, darling?
Perfect. Now, just stay right there.
Oh, not again.
I was too late to catch a look at the portfolio. Now was my chance. It was one of Hobbs' sketches. More of Hobbs' sketches. The model looked familiar. Impressionist sketches. Well, it wasn't La Maledicción, but it did appear to be a study for an element of the painting, the Ouroboros. There was something different about the image in the center. I figured the sketch might come in handy, so I took it.
What the heck? I told you that portfolio was private.
Huh?
Well, that was fun. Just like when you were a private dick, George.
So, you're not models?
No, Mr. Hobbs.
Well, you can't be a copper. You're not stupid enough. So what the blazes are you doing in my studio?
We're investigating the theft of La Maledicción.
I told you I just restored it. That's what I do. Restore paintings.
And these sketches?
Studies done during the restoration. Nothing more. I've got nought to do with what happened after that painting left this studio. How was I to know it was going to get Henri killed?
Hang on a second.
How do you know Henri's dead?
Look, he and I went back a long way. Le Lézard Bleu was on the ropes, so I got the painting into his exhibition. Nothing like this was supposed to happen.
But something did happen, Hobbs. Your friend lost his life.
Look, I'll help you however I can, but this mess is way above my pay grade. What do you want to know?
He wouldn't want to see it. I didn't think he'd be interested. How come you needed to make so many sketches of the painting to restore it?
Restoration's not about throwing a load of paint around. It takes research. The Serp is a complicated painting. A lot of subtext. A lot of symbols.
Why would anyone want to steal La Maledizio? It's not exactly a famous painting.
True, but there is something special about it that's hard to describe. There's conviction in every brushstroke. Whoever El Serp was, he had a tale to tell. The symbolism is deeply religious.
Tell me about the symbols in La Maledizio.
Very Christian, deeply religious, but not exactly orthodox.
The sort of thing that would upset a priest? There was one at the gallery telling everyone how evil it was.
As I said, it's not exactly orthodox, and the church can be very touchy about orthodoxy. Especially now they can't just burn anyone they disagree with.
We have reason to believe that Medovsky is mixed up in the theft of La Maledizio.
Eh? What would he gain from stealing his own painting?
We have strong evidence that Medovsky is not the real owner.
You'll have a hard time proving that. Medovsky has a full set of provenances for the painting. It traces its legitimate ownership all the way back to the painter.
Why didn't Medovsky mention him?
Because they're not with him. Henri's got them. Or had them.
And Henri is dead.
So ask his partner.
Lane?
Lane, yeah, Lane. Look, pal, you're wasting your time looking for conspiracies here. And you're wasting my time if you're not actually going to get naked. Go get the provenance from Lane, and everything will turn out hunky-dory.
But it also puts Marquez's story into question.
Not my problem, darling. Now both of you, get lost. I've got a painting to finish.
And we have a critic to interrogate.
Someone's lying, but who?
Is it the gangster or the old Spaniard?
The painter or the art critic?
I need to head back for Nave's reconstruction.
What about the evidence from Medovsky's house? Will you give it to Nave?
I think I should. And I can put the squeeze on Lane. Ask him about the provenance.
Good. I've got lunch with Ronnie tomorrow. This story is hotting up, and I want to make sure he keeps me on it.
Taxi! Here I was again at the crime scene. Inside the gallery, I could see lots of activity. Nave preparing for the reconstruction, no doubt.